Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Superstars of Wrestling review series. On this particular occasion, we're looking at the 5th of February, 1991. As mentioned, I think we've got two from February that I can give you. Anyway, really basic stuff. We're just a couple weeks after the Royal Rumble of 1991. Big Boss Man and a relative newcomer to enhancement talent, Jeff Sword, who I believe had some runtime in Memphis, among other places. Here, Boss Man hits an uppercut. Boss Man running through members of the Heenan family on house shows and the like, Haku and the Barbarian, respectively. Boss Man gets a victory over Barbarian at the Rumble as well, setting him up for eventually a Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania 7. I'm actually really a fan of WrestleManias through about 12. First 12 intrigue me. Anyway, so Boss Man hits the running kick. Boss Man kind of continues on that way. Hits the Boss Man slam. 1, 2, 3. President Jack Tunney, as part of Saturday Night's main event in 1991, one of the few left before they go to Fox. Anyhow, basically announces that Hulk Hogan will be the champion for the or the challenger for the championship at WrestleMania 7. Sergeant Slaughter's unhappy with this. Sergeant Slaughter basically says he will take Hogan out, he will eliminate Hulk Hogan, and he will eliminate all Americans who think they are something or someone. Slaughter at this point really is and has been an interesting fellow in the sense that he is obviously at the time a top heel, obviously at the time a guy who you don't really want to mess with if you can help it, but at the same time, I think just about every fan is going to want to see him get his, so I understand why they pushed him in this way at this point. They do show some of his match with Jim Duggan from Saturday Night's main event, either this week or next week. I've actually watched most of 1991, what's available anyway, here. Anyway, so we move into the back to back to Superstars. The Demolition, who have not been eliminated from the area yet. Odd that, going into WrestleMania 7, Demolition still has a match with a couple of international talents, but by fall of that year, we've got the Repo Man. I didn't think he started till 92, but he actually did start late 91. Crush and Smash are your Demolition members here. Obviously, they never regained the tag team championships. Big backbreaker herked him around, no pun intended, by Crush, and just really powers him. Doesn't look good because the enhancement talent has to help him quite a bit, but still showing that power, showing influence early. Belly-to-belly suplex by Crush. Crush, obviously, the member of Demolition they want to highlight at this time. Darso, again, within 6 months in another gimmick entirely, something like that. But anyway, he's going down to Smash and Smash, and again. We see some relative basic stuff after the decapitation maneuver by Demolition. The British Bulldog cuts an inset promo. He's talking about wanting to get his hands on the Warlord. He's basically going at that pretty hard. And Bret Hart kind of talking about, still being one of the tag team champions, kind of going that way. They're also plugging upcoming house show, I believe, in Madison Square Garden in this particular episode. Anyhow, And I gotta grab my phone here.
Incoming team chat request.
Then we move into The Undertaker and William Ford. Obviously, Undertaker still a relatively new talent here, a couple months into his run, which is obviously historic for going on 30 years now. But anyway, Ford is a relative newcomer, I believe, in the enhancement talent. Not a guy that I've seen a whole lot of. Of course, I hadn't seen everything there is to see at the time. Well, I probably did as a kid, but it's been decades since I've seen it. Anyhow, Brother Love in there, hyping things. Undertaker hits a drop kick on the kid, which is pretty amazing. Brother Love still in there. They don't move him away from the Undertaker for another couple of months, I don't think. Yeah, it had to be because Paul Bearer is part of WrestleMania 7 with Snuka being Undertaker's first opponent. Walking the ropes by the Undertaker, a la Jean Jardine, and ultimately a leaping elbow and a tombstone later, and the Undertaker certainly has things going his way. Then we move to the Legion of Doom. Legion of Doom wants to be tag team champions ASAP. They are moving kind of forward. They're, talking about wanting to be the best team in the area and certainly make that impact in the best way they possibly can. We then move forward into another match. We mentioned the main event, or actually I called it Saturday night's main event, which was untrue. The main event taking place on Friday. I think there's 4 or 5 of those over the years. I think they were yearly pretty much. But they only show clips of Duggan getting blasted in the head with a steel chair. Wouldn't exactly be endorsed now. By Sergeant Slaughter. Slaughter, of course, getting a victory there. Hulk Hogan manages to make the save. They're setting up Slaughter and Hogan, and a decent way to do it. Hogan waves the flag and talks to Mean Gene, basically says he's going to get even with Slaughter, going to eliminate the slime, going to defend the honor of the families of people that are in Persian Gulf, talks about the kids being around and having to deal with their parents being gone, etc. Real heart-wrenching stuff for the 1991 era. Obviously, the Persian Gulf War, a big deal in that time frame. And speaking of big deals, at least at the time, Shane Douglas out here next. Shane Douglas in an enhancement talent match. Clipped format here, don't have everything about it, but goes up and around. Tries to get the roll through, but Douglas is not around for very long. Gone within a couple of weeks here, maybe a couple of months. And I gotta grab my phone again. But we will be back in just a second here. Then, as mentioned, we kind of go into Hogan still being, a major guy. I mean, he's still a major guy for another year or so, WrestleMania 8, when he kind of slows down a little bit at least. Anyway, ultimately he is going into WrestleMania 7 as the babyface challenger, and it's a pretty big deal. The main event is also a big deal. I think the first one they did was 88, and they do the highlight of the post Rumble issue between DiBiase and Virgil. For those unfamiliar, Virgil and Ted DiBiase wrestled together as a tag team against the Rhodeses, Dusty and Dustin. After the loss, Million Dollar Man is berating Virgil. Actually, it slapped him. Virgil goes out, gets the $1 million belt, and clocks DiBiase in the head with it, turning babyface in the process. Big moment at the time, because angles like that were rare, and building up to, several years of that was a pretty big deal. A main event match, or a pretty big match anyway, as the Mr. Perfect and Kerry Von Erich feud continues. Kerry Von Erich has the Intercontinental Championship match that many people say he should have had sooner as a rematch. Anyway, he blasts his opponent quite a bit here and gets an Irish whip. Hennig takes a million bumps, but Tornado runs headlong, or shoulder long actually, into the post. Hennig takes the buckle off or the buckle pad off the top turnbuckle and does a timber-like maneuver in the middle of the ring after getting hit with a couple of shots. Bobby Heenan gets handled by the Big Boss Man. Big Boss Man doesn't allow Heenan to interfere in the contest going forward, and so that's kind of there. The match spills out onto the floor with neither guy getting a really clear advantage for a couple of minutes. Hennig ends up rolling in or getting thrown into the steel post. Texas Tornado rolls back into the ring and gets a count-out victory. Of course, doesn't get the championship there. Mr. Fuji talks about the danger of the Orient Express in a rather nondescript Event Center promo. And then we move to another Event Center promo this time. Mean Gene Okerlund kind of talks a little bit about update and kind of hyping upcoming things and promises of future matches, but we don't have everything because we're missing a couple episodes in any event. We will be back with more right after this.